The emergence of a plant embryo from its seed coat is truly one of nature's miracles. First, the stem, the plant's lifeline, rises in search of light. Sometimes the stem unfurls, still carrying its seed casing with it, before it sheds the casing and stands straight up. At the top of the stem, the first leaves appear. These are the so-called seed leaves, or cotyledons, which don't look like the later leaves you see on a garden-ready plant. Before too long, usually a matter of days or weeks, the tiniest seed has developed into a healthy seedling, ready for transplanting into a garden where it will eventually bear beautiful flowers or delicious, wholesome vegetables. Welcome to the Park Seed Company, and welcome to Starting Seeds Indoors, a videotape that's full of information on how to get results like these with the seeds you order from your park catalog. Since 1868, generation after generation of home gardeners throughout North America have enjoyed the superb quality of Park seeds. The colorful trials that take place every summer here at our Greenwood headquarters embody the expertise that goes into every one of our products. Park's research, backed by more than a century of experience, means the best for you and your home garden. Hello. It's early spring. Still too cold to plant most seeds outdoors, but I'm going to get a head start on my garden by planting some seeds indoors, the Park way. Now, one of the first questions we should ask before planting seeds is, when do you actually put the seeds in the trays? Simple. Start by reading the back of your Parks pack. The opening sentence gives you the information you need. Now here, sow in late winter, 6 to 8 weeks before transplanting outdoors in spring. Now, that's tomatoes. Sow seeds 2 or 3 weeks before last frost date. That's marigolds. All Parks packs, whether they contain the newest strains of exotic flowers or the most tried and true vegetables, have this information. Now, once you know how long it takes the seeds to get to the transplanting stage, simply take the number of days or weeks on the back of your seed packet and count backwards from the time when it's safe to plant outdoors in your area. Now, here's an example. In the Northeast, where the spring temperatures are cool and the frosts come late, a safe time to put many plants outdoors is between May 15th and Memorial Day. Now, counting backwards, that puts our indoor sowing dates for tomato in the first week of April. The same procedure applies no matter where you live. Now that we know when to sow our seeds, we're ready to put them in the trays. Well, almost ready. Here's one other thing I like to do. Divide the seeds into 4 groups according to germinating and growing temperatures. Seeds that germinate and grow in warm temperatures, seeds that germinate warm but grow cool, seeds that germinate and grow in cool temperatures, seeds that germinate cool but grow warm. Information as to which is on the back of your Park seed packet. A majority of popular plants, including tomatoes, marigolds, zinnias, geraniums, petunias and verbenas, begonias, impatiens and salvia, germinate warm and grow warm in temperatures between 70 and 75 degrees. Others, like pansies, coreopsis, alyssum, and lettuce, germinate and grow in a variety of warm and cool temperatures. There, I think I've got mine organized. Warm, 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 cool, 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 and cool, warm. The idea is to plant seeds from the same groups in the same trays so they'll grow happily under the same conditions. I also group the seeds according to size. A good rule of thumb is if seeds are the same size, they'll probably grow at about the same rate. So we already know when to sow the seeds and which seeds to sow together. How many seeds is up to you, and you'll find helpful guidelines in your Park Gardener's Handbook, which you'll receive along with your videotape. Now let's get to one of my favorite parts, actually sowing the seeds. The first thing I want to tell you about sowing seeds indoors is that there are lots of different relatively simple ways you can do it. For years, even trays like these, with a mixture of Park's Grow Mix, have produced terrific results for me, as you can see here. And nowadays, I'm using Park Starts, which are the simplest and cleanest method I've yet found for starting seeds indoors. But the point I want to make is that the helpful tips you find on this tape will work no matter what method you use. Now, for simplicity's sake, we're going to focus on Park Starts. But if you want to continue using trays, fine. The information on our tape concerning germinating and growing temperatures applies to any method of starting seeds indoors. And for extra help on starting seeds in trays, for instance, use your Gardener's Handbook. It's the ideal supplement to all the material we're covering on our tape. Now, let's clean up this mess a little. There we are. Now, this is a Park Start. And as thousands of home gardeners, including myself, will tell you, it's one of the simplest and most effective ways of growing healthy seedlings ever devised. Even commercial growers who are extremely fussy think Park Starts are state of the art. The key to the Park Start is this specially composed plug that doesn't crumble or break apart. As they develop, the roots are contained within the plug right through the transplanting stage, affording them greater protection. On top of each plug is a little hole where you simply drop in your seed. Or, if you're working with tiny seeds, put them on top of the plug. Now, this is all you do. We'll take some seeds. Let's see, why don't we start with some tomatoes? All right. You just open the packet. Pour some seeds into the palm of your hand and put 2 seeds in each hole, like so. There. Isn't that the simplest thing in the world? And another thing I like, and so does my wife, is how clean this method is. Now, we often do our indoor planting right here on the kitchen table. There's no crumbly dirt to contend with, no mess. Park Starts are completely self-contained. Now, let's see, where were we? Well, I was planting tomatoes, but why don't we try something else from the warm group? How about some marigolds? All right, open that packet. Put those right in the hole. That's all there is to it. 18 plugs, 36 seeds in all, ready to start growing. I'll show you how to water the Park Starts, also very simple, when we get them to their germinating locations. Now, the only other thing I'd like to suggest you do at this point, especially if you're trying new varieties, or if you're slightly absent-minded, like I am, is to label each container as soon as you've sown the seeds. In this case, we have tomatoes and marigolds, and they're warm. Now, a word about tiny seeds, by the way. First of all, they come in a special inner envelope inside the regular gold Parks pack. Just open the envelope, crease it, and tap the seeds gently to the front. In this case, I'm sowing petunias. If you're sowing in Park Starts, sow the seeds on top of the plug and not in the hole. They'll get more light that way. Now I'm going to finish putting these petunia seeds in the remaining plugs. And while I'm doing that, why don't you review the few simple things we've learned so far? Then we'll go on to the next section. I planted 2 containers, and now I'm ready to find places around the house where they'll do best. These, by the way, are watering trays, and they fit under the containers, like so. And this is Park Start fertilizer. It comes with your order. Now let's see. These tomatoes and marigolds say warm, warm. And so do the petunias. That means, as I mentioned before, that they like to germinate and grow in a warm environment, 70 to 75 degrees. Now these temperatures are important, and I should mention that they refer to soil temperatures, not room temperatures. And there's an easy way to get a warm soil temperature. That's 70 to 75 degrees for your seeds. Put lukewarm water in your trays. Now I use a premix solution of Park Start fertilizer that I keep in this watering can. If I keep it on top of the refrigerator, it maintains just the right lukewarm temperature I need. You can also simply lay a house thermometer, like this one, next to your Park Starts. If the temperature on the thermometer is between 70 and 75 degrees, and if you water with lukewarm water, you'll be germinating your plants at a warm temperature. It just so happens we have the perfect location right here on this table for these germinating seeds. It's warm, it's away from the drafts, and it has plenty of light. Now, while the seeds are germinating, keep them away from the window. And when they come up, you can move them closer to the light, like the pansies and the broccoli. Light is important. You have to have it for growing. Find, if you can, a spot like this one that's both warm and bright. Now, these pansies and the broccoli, which have been growing in the same warm spot for about 2 weeks, say warm, cool. That means they've germinated in this warm spot, but now they're ready to go to the cool environment. Oh, but one more thing, watering. Like everything else about Park Starts, watering is simple. Just pour the water in until the bottom of the trays are covered. And over there. That's all there is to it. The plugs absorb the right amount of water, so you don't have to worry about overwatering. Just keep the trays filled. Now, I usually check them about once a day. But sometimes I miss a day, but it doesn't seem to matter. Now, let's find a cool place for these other Park Starts. We shut off this room in the wintertime, so it's an ideal place to germinate and grow seeds in cool temperatures. And this north light window provides ample light. Now, a cool temperature is between 50 and 55 degrees. And for those of you who live in warmer climates, I'd suggest a basement or an unheated garage or a cold frame. And if you do germinate in a basement, be sure to find a good bright spot next to a window, but once the seeds have developed leaves. Otherwise, they'll get too tall and spindly. Now, one good way to keep plants cool is with water. Simply water your plants with a cooler fertilizer solution, something you keep in the same room, perhaps. Now, these alyssum and lettuce plants, which are ready to go outdoors, both germinated and grew cool. And as you can see, they're beautiful and they're healthy. All I have to do now is keep water in the trays and watch my seedlings grow. Simple, clean, self-contained, with terrific results. It's a pleasurable way to start a garden. And that's it. I'm ready to go outside with these lettuce and alyssum plants, which germinate cool and can be put out pretty early. Oh, just a few more tips. Some very popular varieties of plants, including geraniums, petunias, begonias, and impatiens, need special attention when it comes to their germinating temperatures. They really need to be kept right around 70 degrees during germination. Keep them away from drafts, use lukewarm water, and lay a house thermometer next to the trays. Make sure you've got them in a place that's pretty stable at that temperature. I mentioned the top of the refrigerator for your lukewarm fertilizer solution. You might germinate your begonias and geraniums up there too. Remember, with tiny seeds, to plant on top of the plug, or if you're using trays, on the surface of the dirt. Don't cover them, you might smother them. If you plant 2 seeds per hole, as we suggested in your park starts, often both seeds will sprout. One's enough. Trim the weakest looking plant with a scissors. And above all, remember those distinctions between warm and cool. Cool, 50 to 55 degrees. Warm, 70 to 75 degrees. Now, as you can probably tell, I'm very happy with these park starts and the way they've simplified the whole process of planting from seed. I realize some of you who have become familiar with other park materials may want to stick with the methods you're accustomed to, although I suggest you at least try a park start or two. If you want to sow in trays, if you're working with larger seeds, if you're direct sowing, you'll find all the additional information you need in the Park Gardener's Handbook and the Culture Guide in the Park Seed Catalog. But regardless of where you sow, there are many things you could learn from this tape, including the importance of germinating and growing your seeds in the right temperature. There are just 2 key words to remember: warm and cool, and just 4 combinations in all. All the information you need is on the back of your Parks Pack and on this tape. And now I'm going to take these alyssum and lettuce plants and put them outside where the beds are prepared and the temperatures are about right. Planting outdoors is the subject of our next tape, so I probably should say goodbye right now. But here's a preview. Now, these plants have hardened off for 2 or 3 days, which means they've been outside in the park starts, getting used to their new environment. Now, I'm ready to put them in the ground. Once again, simplicity reigns. Just poke out the plug from the bottom with your finger. Remove it from the container and put it in the ground. Give it some water and let it grow. Now, as I mentioned, success with seeds outdoors is the subject of our next tape, which I hope you'll find as helpful as this one. In it, we'll take a look at how to prepare seed beds, direct sowing, and the care of young plants. But for now, the season is still young, and there's plenty of time to get the best start ever on your garden. Simply get out your calendars, order your seeds, and start growing indoors the Park way.